The makers of Mortal Kombat 11 and the Injustice games, NetherRealm Studios, haven't made any official announcements about their upcoming game in quite some time. The most recent game from NetherRealm Studios, which had previously released a new title every 2 years, was released almost 4 years ago. But a lot of fans believe that NRS will finally speak up in 2023. This has been implied by Mortal Kombat's Ed Boon, the series' creative director and co-creator, who has been using Twitter in recent months to tease upcoming developments. On April 23, 2019, Mortal Kombat 11 became available. On November 17, 2020, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, the game's final iteration, was released. This was after numerous characters were added to the cast and after a story expansion. A short while later, on July 2, 2021, NRS formally stopped providing support for MK11 and began concentrating on its upcoming, unannounced project. There is still no official word on what NRS' upcoming game will be a year and a half later. However, Boon has used this opportunity to tease and feed fan rumors, so fans haven't been totally in the dark. Fans shouldn't get too excited, though, as Boon is known for playing Twitter pranks on them, so nothing he says should be taken at face value. Furthermore, neither Boon nor NRS have made any official confirmations. So while some rumors may be true, anything is still possible, and all assertions should be treated with caution. Mortal Kombat Onslaught has been officially confirmed. What is already known is that Mortal Kombat Onslaught, a mobile RPG that is not Mortal Kombat 12, is being created by NetherRealm Studios and will not be Mortal Kombat 12. The game is described as being distinct from the studio's earlier mobile games because it won't be a conventional 1v1, 2D-style fighting game, but rather a cinematic story experience where players must assemble a team of fighters and unleash them in actual group battles. More information will likely be made public later in 2023 because there are currently few details available. Despite the fact that Mortal Kombat Onslaught features characters from the main series, it's unlikely that this game will be NetherRealm Studios' next big hit. In the past, NRS has released its own mobile games to coincide with the release of much bigger games like Mortal Kombat X and Injustice 2. Therefore, it is likely that Mortal Kombat Onslaught is only the beginning and that the release of NRS' following title will coincide with it. One could assume that whatever the next game is, it might also have a Mortal Kombat connection. It's also possible that Mortal Kombat Onslaught exists to fill the Mortal Kombat-shaped void left by NRS' upcoming game having no connection to Mortal Kombat at all. Why Mortal Kombat 12 could be announced by NetherRealm Studios in 2023. 3 video games have been mentioned as potential candidates for NRS' upcoming release: Mortal Kombat 12, Injustice 3, and a Marvel or Marvel vs. Capcom game. DC logo. Although each of the 3 has a chance of happening, Mortal Kombat 12 has the highest probability of happening. The biggest justification for Mortal Kombat 12 potentially being NRS' next big game is MK11's overwhelming commercial success. A sequel to Mortal Kombat 11 must be released soon. It sold far too well to be overlooked. The fastest-selling game in the franchise, according to reports, MK11 sold over 15 million copies. Not to mention that a Mortal Kombat movie sequel is in the works, which will undoubtedly generate a wave of popularity for the game's developers to ride. A Mortal Kombat sequel will undoubtedly release at some point, if not in 2023, despite the fact that nothing has been officially confirmed. Boon recently made several hints and implied multiple times that MK12 is in development during a series of canned as he hosted on Twitter. I3 or MK12, Boon openly responded when a follower inquired about NRS' upcoming title. When questioned about the absence of 3D-era Mortal Kombat characters in current games, Boon responded, "That is something we will soon fix." When asked if MK12 will feature a running mechanic, Boon didn't rule it out but offered the possibility of a meterless running mechanic in the upcoming Mortal Kombat title. The fact that Boon and NRS have plans for a future Mortal Kombat game and that MK12 is on their minds is evident despite the fact that these statements do not explicitly confirm the existence of MK12 and could be hinting at something else entirely. Why Marvel or Marvel vs. announcement from NetherRealm Studios is possible. DC game. It has been well known for a while that Marvel and the well-known Mortal Kombat developer discussed working on a game together. Boon mentioned speaking with Marvel in an interview from 2019 but said he couldn't go into further detail. When the news broke, many fans immediately hoped that it meant a Marvel vs. given that NRS also collaborated with DC on the Injustice series. The DC game was finally in the works. Despite the slim possibility of a Marvel vs. though the chances of a DC game are slim, Boon has experimented with the idea and there is a chance it could still happen. Fans shouldn't hold out hope. An alleged Marvel or Marvel vs. around 2021, a leaker by the name of Daniel Richmond claimed that NRS was developing a Marvel game, which helped the DC fighting game gain popularity. Later that year, in a now-deleted tweet, Boon discussed how James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, And the Suicide Squad collaborated with both Marvel and DC, calling it an impressive feat and dropping a hint with a befuddled emoji. On September 9, 2022, 1 year after the initial query, Boone polled his Twitter audience to find out what they expected from NRS going forward. Marvel game and Marvel vs. Capcom were two of the poll's choices. DC. The Marvel vs. Capcom the 3rd of May come as no surprise. At 40.9%, the DC option received the most votes. The biggest challenge for NRS in creating this game may be obtaining the licenses, so the tweets and rumors may not mean much. Although NetherRealm Studios has a variety of methods for obtaining the rights to use guest characters, the problem may be with DC and the merger of Warner Bros. Discovery. While Warner Bros. Is the owner of NRS, Warner Bros. Is reportedly developing an interactive platform. It's possible that Discovery will sell some of its subsidiaries, including NetherRealm Studios, which would mean that NRS would lose the right to use DC characters, which are owned by Warner Bros. Discovery, not to mention that NRS would need to obtain the license from Marvel as well, a business with which it has not yet collaborated formally. Despite the fact that this is still largely conjecture, it is something to consider for NRS's upcoming games. Why Injustice 3 might be the upcoming game from NetherRealm Studios. Since Boone hasn't ruled it out and stated that NRS upcoming game will either be i3 or MK12, there is still a chance that NRS next big release will be Injustice 3. However, previous comments suggested that Injustice 3 would probably not be NRS next game because, if it were, it would have most likely already been released. In addition to the Warner Bros., in addition to making a previous remark about the creation of NRS upcoming game that implies Injustice 3 is unlikely, Boone also discussed the Discovery merger. Boone addressed NRS' recent release cycle and how it has been broken in an interview about his induction into the Hall of Fame of the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. According to him, NRS has released a new game every 2 years for the past 10 years, alternating between Mortal Kombat and Injustice before returning to the former. When the release date for NRS' upcoming game is revealed, according to Boone, the reason behind it will become clear. Boone's comment strongly suggests NRS won't release Injustice 3 as its next title unless there is something significantly different about it. Boone's statement might, on the one hand, have been made casually and without any real intention. However, it's also possible that NRS changed its release schedule because they are working on something completely unrelated to Injustice or DC. In contrast, video game sequels and iterations frequently reuse in-game assets like character models, animations, and sound effects. Since NRS' upcoming game isn't Injustice at all but rather something else, it's possible that this was a contributing factor in breaking the release cycle. Again, this does not definitively rule out Injustice 3, but it does support the rumors about Warner Bros. Injustice 3 is now highly unlikely due to the Discovery merger, an issue of when. Fighting game fans can already anticipate a strong 2023. 2023 will likely see the release of Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8, two titans in the fighting game genre. NRS will face fierce competition if it chooses to release its next title in 2023. Past releases from NetherRealm Studios have all been summertime, around April or May. This time around, however, it's possible that won't be the case because Street Fighter 6 won't be available until June 2nd. In the past, NetherRealm Studios has made a point of not obstructing the success of other fighting games, giving them their due, and avoiding competition. At a digital event like PlayStation's State of Play or Summer Games Fest, NRS will probably make an announcement, and then later hold its own gameplay reveal event. Similar to this, NRS previewed a CG trailer for Mortal Kombat X prior to gameplay being shown at the E3 2014 Sony press conference. For MK11, gameplay was demonstrated at a live event about a month after the game's official unveiling at the Game Awards, inviting content creators to play it. Following that, NRS hosted a number of combat casts leading up to the release of Mortal Kombat 11 that featured new Mortal Kombat 11 characters in gameplay. Players can anticipate a similar pattern, including any references to downloadable content and special guests that start probably not long after the game's release. After MK11's release, DLC characters began to appear, some of them had even been previewed. Similar information about Mortal Kombat, Onslaught and NRS' upcoming project can be anticipated by fans in the upcoming months. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and support my channel.